language learning can be tough. Chinese is regarded as the world's richest and oldest language and culture. Broad and profound, yet a very difficult language to learn. And Chinese is not alone. Arabic and Chinese falls into category 4, the most difficult language level defined by the Language Institute, which is an organization that's responsible for linguistics research and planning.
So in any counseling and psychological approach, the human being, let's take the student for example, is considered to be multidimensional. That is to say that they have multiple facets to their life. There is a psychological aspect which deals with the mind, thoughts, emotions, and the resulting behaviors. There's the physiological aspect which deals with the human body, the physical system, and its interaction with the environment. And then there's the psychosocial aspect, that is the place of the student in society, their relationships and their communications with those around them. So these are the 3 core aspects that are addressed in counseling and psychology.
This truck is really, as you can see, it's like a transformer. So it expands and has a nice big open floor plan to host different kinds of programs. It'll be set up a bit like a design studio, you could think, where it has modular furniture and can take different configurations. So, for example, a stage for interactive workshops. And the point of this truck, of course, is to teach students about the creative industries and different opportunities that are available to them in the creative industries, as well as the skills required to be productive in the creative industries.
As part of the Makers Day project, which was in November-December, our students used the Story Starter Kit, they used the Lego project and presented a smart city as part of their project in November 2016. They were lauded for their efforts and innovation. Thereafter, there was no looking back and students were gearing up for their next project from STEM to STEAM, which was in January.
And one of the reasons that I feel creativity and innovation is so important, the children of today are going into an entirely different world than the world we've grown up in. In all reality, most children are likely to have up to 30 jobs throughout their lifespan. They'll be changing jobs, they'll be asked to deal with problems and challenges that we and previous generations have helped to create. Okay? So the way that they approach issues, the way that they approach problems needs to change. And within the school system currently, what often tends to happen is that we learn by example, we learn set solutions to set problems.
So when you're talking about project-based learning, we're going to explore an approach that integrates content, standards or outcomes, if you're in a standards or outcomes-based curriculum, but focuses on big questions and overarching themes and relevant hands-on multidisciplinary learning for the students. And creative hacks that some schools have used to make it a little bit more doable within their own environments.
I believe happiness is the one most common goal for all of the people around the world, despite the nationality, despite wherever they are. Happiness, when I searched for it, and it was amazing terminology for me, happiness reflects the balance. It's about myself from inside and from outside. It shows who I am. And eventually, happiness also reflects the impact of positive education in our children and our schools.
By looking at the child's strengths, we may be directed toward other teachers or adults within the school community. And again, with them involved, the plan becomes more meaningful.
So we wanted to share a few cases with you, and in actual fact these cases weren't things, these are ones that actually the children themselves decided that they wanted to talk more when it was their turn, and so they ended up basically creating their own feature. I think the fact that the children really wanted to share this and really wanted to make these videos about them and their involvement, because we were looking at whole school involvement, but them and their involvement, I think that really shows you how they feel about this process and how they feel it's working.
So here we are going to ask students how they are going to create the garden and how it will foster cross-curricular learning, especially through the entire school. Okay. As you know, India is facing a lot of drought, and it's really important for us to take action and to start probably building and having our own gardens, right? We cannot depend always on the government and our farmers and everything. So we need to start and take that initiative and teach our children for the future.
So he said to develop a complete mind, study the science of arts, study the arts of science, learn how to see and realize that everything connects to everything else. And that kind of give you the overall summary or the picture of why we created this project, leading towards a really grand exhibition, and how it has helped our students not to learn what was in curriculum, but to get skills which they needed for real life.
So the idea will be that you can go away and you have ideas of how to use art as a starting point, how to use art as a creative stimulus, and also opportunities to cater for all abilities through the teaching. So I've done a lot of reading recently about all children being given the same starting point to their learning, and then the differentiation being more become by outcome. And one of the things that all children can access is looking at images and pictures. So that's one of the ways that you could start your lesson into a variety of teaching.
We put this together because we really found that forming our network ended up helping us in getting to know one another, visiting one another's schools, and really opening up to the doors to the best practices that we feel we have at the schools. We also felt that this is the beginning of an initiative that we will continue until the end of this year and for the years to come.
So there's basically 4 strategies that I'll share with you. There are 4 types of questions. But what I'll do first is share with you some other things that we use at our school in order to provoke thinking and to provoke questioning. So here is a strategy called Ask the Picture a Question. So what we do is we put thought-provoking pictures on each table, and I might have done that with you today if we had had a little bit more time, and you tell the audience, you tell the participants to ask the picture questions.
In English, there are 96 matches for the word sign. So sign is a base for 96 different words in English. So if I teach you that sign is a base, and I teach you about the meaning of that base, I'm not teaching you one word anymore. I'm teaching you 96 possible words in English. And when you're reading and you come across the word signifies or consigns or consignee, instead of saying sound it out, go look it up in the dictionary. How many of you had a teacher tell you go look it up in the dictionary? And you're reading and it's fun and you're interested and you're like, no way, forget it, I'm going to continue reading. It doesn't matter what that word means, I get the rest of it.
All the prime areas that we teach with the early years foundation stage curriculum are there. You've got personal, social, emotional, their confidence, their problem solving, their social skills, their communication and language, they're talking to each other, they're resilient, they can come up with an idea of how to change it, how to make it better. Their physical development, they're climbing, they're rolling, they're running, they're all here. And as it says, children live through their senses, and outdoor play is sensory.
Inquiry learning became a really big thing in New Zealand about 10 years ago, and 2 years into it, it fell over. And the reason it fell over is because the children didn't have the skills or the mindsets, neither did the teachers, to allow it to happen. But what we're starting to see now, yes, in classes where they're trialling Genius out because children have a natural passion. I didn't tell them what their boat had to look like. They created it all on their own. Therefore, they were empowered. But the learning that went alongside it, they learned that they had to collaborate with, say, if they were doing it in a team. They learned that they had to share things in the classroom. My class at the start of the year couldn't actually, if I put them in a group of 4, wouldn't have been able to share ideas.
Mr. Andy, you have been a content advisor for What Works for several years now. What would you say has been the single most inspirational moment that caused you to think differently about leading a school?
I think it's different things at different times over the last 5 years, but I could jump on the word fusion today. It's probably a fusion of the happiness/well-being agenda, which was pretty synergist with what we were doing at DES, Dubai English Speaking School and Dubai English Speaking College. I'm not going to say who got there first, but to see the KHDA bringing in people like Sir Anthony Selden and Scott Stevenson, the mindfulness expert, across the course of the year, led us to thinking about our practice and actually our provision where both things are concerned for students and staff.
St. Mary Catholic School. Delhi Private School. The third school who will be going to Dallas, JSS Private School. We go to school for 12 years. We add 4 years to college. We get a lot of professional training, being teacher or being whatever we do in our lives, to get jobs. So if you think about the amount of work, our preparations we do, so much for the job, right? Sometimes I wonder, what are we doing for our happiness and love? So I think today, with all this presentation that we've seen about the School of Hearts, I'm gonna stop asking myself that questions. And I'm gonna let the school to show us how they are doing love, how they're thinking about it, and how they are practicing happiness. I really, again, from the bottom of my heart, thanks everybody for contributing to What Works, and looking forward to see you in the next year. Thank you very much.